Hello everyone and welcome to a new lesson with Miss Rafa. Today we're going to complete with Unit 10, Culture Shock. We're going to focus on the listening and the speaking skill. So if you're ready, let's get started together. Listening and speaking. Page 104. Question A. Read the saying and discuss the questions. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. What does the saying mean? Do you agree with it? Why or why not? Question B.
Listen to radio show about different costumes around the world. Match the country with a suitable behavior. Our show today is about different costumes around the world. In the United States, as a way of showing gratitude for waiter service, it is expected that people leave between 10 to 20% of the bill on tips. In South Korea, employees in the food service industry are given fair wages, and it is insulting to attempt to tip them. In many cultures, it is a right to ask for salt to add to your food, but if you are dining with friends in Egypt, keep in mind to avoid asking for salt. It is taken as an insult to the host, as Egyptians take it to mean that you don't like the taste of the food. Don't show up on time in Venezuela. Looks like Venezuelans aren't like British people, are very punctual and make a great effort to arrive on time. Reaching on time is considered rude in Venezuela, and it is recommended to reach at least 50 minutes later than the scheduled time. Early or in-time guests are viewed as being too eager or even greedy. Avoiding using red ink in South Korea is based on their history and costumes. Red ink was used to write down names of dead people on the family register, whereas in Mexico it is better to stick to the traditional red rose rather than a yellow rose, which means death in Mexican culture.
The United States. Leave between 10 to 20% of the bill in tips. South Korea. Avoid using red ink for writing names of your friends. Egypt. Don't ask for salt when dining. Venezuela. Arrive later than originally planned. Britain. Arrive on time. Mexico. Don't gift a yellow rose. Question C. Listen again and write the names of countries with contrasting costumes. Tipping. Tipping in the United States is to show gratitude. Tipping in South Korea is insulting. Arriving on time. Arriving on time in Venezuela, you are greedy. Arriving on time in Britain, you are punctual. Based on their culture. In South Korea, Red means death. In Mexico, yellow means death. Question D. Do any of these costumes seem unusual to you? Explain. Now let's move on to speaking. Asking for advice. Don't say, "Can you give me some advice?" Use one of the phrases below. What do you think I should do? Can I ask your advice or opinion about something? Do you think I should? I'm thinking of. What do you think? إذن هدول المصطلحات ممكن نستخدمهم لطلب النصيحة. Giving advice. In a conversation, it's not common to say, "I advise you to do this," or "I recommend that you do this." These are very formal and are mostly used in writing. Use one of the phrases below. You should or shouldn't. If I were you, I would. Make sure that you. The best thing is to. إذا بالمحادثات لإعطاء نصيحة بنستخدم طرق غير رسمية مثل المصطلحات اللي حكينا عنها هلأ. طبعا هدول التعابير لازم تحفظوهم كتير منيح وتستخدموهم. Pair work. Read these cross-cultural situations. Describe what the visitors did wrong. Use appropriate expressions in the box to ask and give advice. Mary is from England. When she was on vacation in Venezuela, some Venezuelan friends invited her to dinner at 9 o'clock. She arrived at exactly 9 o'clock, but her friends had not even arrived home yet. Unlike England, reaching on time in Venezuela is considered rude. If I were you, I would reach at least 15 minutes later than the scheduled time. George was raised in the United States. He used to leave tips for waiters as a way of showing his gratitude for their service. But when he attempted to tip in a cafe in Seoul, his host was a little embarrassed. Unlike the United States, it is insulting to attempt to tip waiters in South Korea. Make sure that you don't do that again. Shadi is from Syria. During his study in UNC University, he wrote the name of his South Korean friend in red ink. Their relationship was damaged because his friend considered what he did as a sign of ill will and wishing harm. The best thing is to avoid using red ink in South Korea because red ink was used to write down names of dead people on the family register. Pascal is from France. When she went to Egypt, she was invited to lunch at her new friend's house. She wanted to add more salt to her dish, but her Egyptian friend was kind of upset. If you're dining with friends in Egypt, keep in mind to avoid asking for salt. It is taken as an insult to the host, as Egyptians take it to mean that you don't like the taste of the food. Now let's move on to the activity book, page 86. Question A. What is the strangest thing you have ever eaten? When and why did you eat it? What did it taste like? Question B.
Listen to an extract about birthday foods in different cultures. Check, tick the correct column for birthday foods in each country. In Russia, birthday parties are a popular tradition. Some Russians enjoy cake on birthdays, but double-crusted pies are extremely common. These pies are generally sweet and filled with fruit. The pie says "Happy Birthday" on it. In the Philippines, people eat birthday cake. They also eat pasta on their birthday. Traditionally in the Philippines, you should always have a long noodle dish called pancit during a person's birthday because it is supposed to be lucky and it signifies a long life for the celebrant. In Korea, all people have two separate celebrations for their birthday: their date of birth and Korean New Year's Day. Chaeguk, a soup with sliced rice cakes, is a traditional Korean food that is eaten for the new year. Once you finish eating your chaeguk, you are 1 year older.
Cake in Russia and the Philippines. Soup in Korea. Pie in Russia. Pasta, the Philippines. Question C. Listen again. Write a true or false. Double-crusted pies are extremely common in Korea. False. The pie is sweet and filled with fruits. True. Pancit is a fish and chips dish. False. In the Philippines, they eat long noodles on their birthday to live a long life. True. In Korea, some people have their birthday on New Year's Day. False. Once you finish eating your chaeguk, you're 1 year older. true. Question D. In pairs, talk about birthday foods people have in your country. Now let's move on to speaking. Question A. Work in pairs. Describe the following customs in your country. Then compare your answers with another pair. How similar were they? The most common form of greeting. Common gestures that visitors are not used to. Common eating customs. Common misconceptions visitors have about your country. Question B. With your partner, ask and give advice about the customs mentioned in exercise A. Student A. What do you think I should do if I am invited to dinner? Student B. Make sure that you arrive on time and... That's everything for today. Thank you very much. See you next lesson.